The thing with boundaries, it depends on what we're talking about. So if we're talking about an actionable, diagnosable narcissist, then your boundaries need to be so strong. They need to be distancing yourself from that person. They need to be, oh, mom, every time that you say that I'm fat, ugly, untalented, whatever the narc is saying, and then they're going to say they were only kidding and you're too sensitive, I'm going to hang up. So I just want you to know that that's what's going to happen, because that's not cool. Oh, you have no sense of humor. What's wrong with you? You're this, like all these normalizing behaviors. But then you have to do it. And if you haven't done this internal work with the child within you, you're going to be too afraid to do it. You're going to be terrified to do it. You become the 5-year-old when you're in that situation. So the internal work so much of the time happens first, but distancing yourself. Give yourself permission. You don't have to be on call, even though the narc would like you to be. Start turning your phone off at night. Be a normal person. Tell people, hey, I'll get back to you in 48 hours, no matter who they are. You don't owe anyone 24/7 backstage pass to your life, but you've been trained, if you came from the system, that you do. And so you really have to look and say, how toxic is this person to my life? Are they trying to ruin my relationships? Are they alienating the other people in my life? Are they doing to my children what they did to me? Because I promise you, if they're not, they're going to. As soon as your kids hit, like usually puberty is when it will start. When kids stop idolizing grandma or grandpa is when it'll flip. And that really is your job, to not let that happen. And if that means you can only go no contact because they're going to start to torture your kids, then whatever gets you there. If someone is a malignant or a toxic narcissist, it is definitely your job to protect your children from them, for sure. But you have a right. And I feel like with so many of my clients who've been in this situation, it was so shocking. I said to one of my clients one time, she's like, we're going home for Christmas. And she said she was staying 4 nights. And I was like, dude, with your narc mother, that is way too long, like 2 nights max. And even then you should stay in a hotel. She's like, oh, she'd flip out if I stayed in a hotel. And then a huge thing went down, of course, ruined Christmas, of course, mean, terrible, awful. And she stayed. And then later I go, why didn't you leave? And she literally said, she was 34 at the time, wait, I could have left. And that's exactly the 10-year-old in her is like, I couldn't leave. Where am I going? No, you're 34. Of course you could leave. And what would that tell the narcissist? I'm out. No, I'm not a kid anymore, and I don't have to put up with this. But we have to heal the child within first, because they're the one who's like, you can't leave. She'll lose it. She'll torture you forever. She'll do whatever she'll do. But you have the right to block people on Facebook. Make them lose your number. You can go no contact if you're in that malignant situation right now. It's your right. You're grown up now. But it takes time to heal that child within, because they're not positive that you're grown up now, you know? Mm-hmm. So, and also getting into work, getting into therapy, of course. Obviously that's what changed my life initially and really inspired me to become a therapist with these amazing therapists themselves.
Just one final question for you, Terri. You mentioned that this whole topic of narcissism is really a topic of our time that's coming into daylight. You compared it to depression, which for a long time people kept underground and quiet. What do you think's happening in the culture now that the topic of narcissism is of so much interest to so many people?
Oh, our culture has changed so much with the reality television. 25 years ago was the beginning when it really started, right? Remember MTV? That was the beginning, because I was a talent agent and I actually had someone on that show. So I remember being like, this is so weird. They're going to have cameras watching people 24 hours a day. Who the hell would watch that? Oh, apparently a lot of people would watch that. Then we have people who become social media famous. We have the Kim Kardashians who go from having a sex tape to having an empire, literally. So what is this? This is we're changing as a culture, especially, listen, I'm not going to put this to all the other countries. I'm going to talk specifically about the US, because this is where I think it's the worst, or maybe it's just the one I know the most, right? Because I was in entertainment. But it used to be you'd have to at least pretend that you weren't like that. Now people like, you get you become a millionaire 100 times over, 500 times over, for being totally self-absorbed and believing that millions of people would be interested in your Botox or what you ate for lunch or whatever. That wasn't the way it used to be. So there's something about, we have children seeing this, aspiring to getting this attention, not because they want to become a scientist, cure cancer, become a doctor, because they're emulating Kim Kardashian. And I'm not even talking about pop stars or people who are like talented, like you're doing something cool. We get it. There's always been rock stars for the past X number of decades. This is different. This is being famous for being famous. That's it. And that there is this narcissistic element, this self-absorbed element to that. So the culture has changed. So this is a whole change in what we value. Our cultural norms have changed. What is okay has changed. Look at the behavior in these reality television shows. It's the lowest common denominator. And people are like, yes, Survivor, can't wait till that person starves to death. Like, it is so, it's a little depressing. I don't watch any of it. But I do think that this is relevant to how narcissism is coming more into the forefront because of the changes and what we're seeing in these generations that have been very influenced by this.